As we come up to the end of the year, one of my favorite rituals that I like to do inside of my bullet journal is set up what I want to take along with me into my next bullet journal. This migration is super important for anyone who's a part of any kind of planning or bullet journal system. So in today's video, we're going to be setting up a collection page that's going to focus on our wants and needs for our upcoming planner or journal. And then also we're going to focus on what we're going to keep to migrate over to our next journal and planner, and what we want to leave behind and not worry about in the future. If you're interested in a template or a printable for this, I'll have one available for you down in the descriptions below. If you want to keep things simple, you can use a pen and your notebook to set up this page, but today I'm going to be using the glass dip pen that we got from the Archer and Olive Halloween collection. Excited to be using this finally on a video. And then also we have the calligraphy ink. This is black with gold shimmer. And we'll just be including this in here for our headers. We're not going to be running out long form content with that. That's what our pen and our pencil are for. For this collection page, I'm going to grid this out into a want, needs, and a don't want section. So I'm going to have 3 columns at the top of my page. And then right below that, we're going to have 2 columns. And this is going to be the area for what we're going to keep for our next bullet journal and what we're going to leave behind. With the glass dip pens, you do have to be a little bit careful. As you can see, there was a whole lot of ink that came down when I wrote out wants. Mistakes are reality, so we're just gonna keep rolling with this as we go. This collection page is just as much about planning and organization as it is about reflection. So I ask you to join me as I'm filling out the want section here, whether you're creating your own collection page now, or even on a side note of paper. What are some wants that you're looking for from your next planner or bullet journal? My big 3 wants that I want from my next journal are going to be spaces for future planning. So I'm really excited about maybe bringing some elements of dated planners or calendars into my next bullet journal. I want to make sure they have plenty of room for notes. The A5 journals I'm finding over time just don't do great. I write a whole lot during the week, task and rapid logging, and I want to make sure that the pages and the space I have can accommodate that. And the last thing that I want in my new journal is an area for trackers for small wins. I'm a big proponent of small wins equal big rewards. So those small celebrations, those little hits of dopamine as you're accomplishing smaller tasks or hitting certain goals are really important. And I want to make sure that I'm bringing that over with me. The next section are our needs. What are the showstopper, have to have, not doing this without things? Let's take a moment and reflect on that and write down 3 to 4 things that we want to make sure we absolutely have and need inside of our next planner or bullet journal. Sometimes your needs may also blend in with your wants. So my top 3 needs for my next planner are going to be nice thick paper that can handle fountain pens and that can also handle stamps, since I like to really use those inside of my journals. I want to make sure that there are plenty of room for notes and tasks. It kind of goes into that wants section here too, but I absolutely need a planner or a notebook that's going to help me and accommodate those things that I want and that I need. And I also need calendar pages. After this past year of using a few different planners, I've noticed that I really like full calendar pages, not just monthly overviews. So having something like that, whether it is pre-existing or I'm making it myself, has to be inside of my next planner. This is a hard section, but what don't you want in your next planner or bullet journal? Let's take a moment together and write down a few notes of things that we absolutely do not want. For myself, I only really came up with 2 things that I don't want inside of my planners. The first, I don't want any ghosting or bleed through on my pages. This very much has to go with my needs of having good quality paper. So I know that I'm going to want something with a heavier GSM. Likely 160 Archer and Olive is the direction that I think that I'm going this year with everything. Not that I haven't minded using some of the other planners, like the Night Owl planner. That Tomrow River paper is nice. It works well with fountain pens, but there is ghosting because it's so thin. I know that I don't want that as my main journal, but perhaps something on the outside. Still figuring those things out. And the other thing that I don't want is like extra quotes or things around my pages. I think it's one of the reasons that I haven't really gravitated too much towards the Hobonichis. There just seems to be a lot on the pages throughout the day, and I like a nice clean slate, do exactly what I want it to do, and kind of move on from there. This next section, we're actually going to go inside of our bullet journal and our planners, and we're going to take some time to think about what we want to keep, what's coming with us and migrating into the new journal, And then what do we want to leave behind? Are there any collection pages or things that you did inside of your current planner that just really didn't work out that we want to make sure we're not building in? So for this exercise, I'm going to go ahead and switch it up since I'm a lefty. I'm going to keep my collection page right here. If it's already inside of your bullet journal, you're keeping everything together, just make sure that you mark the page on where it is so you can quickly get back to it, because we're going to do this at the same time. We're going to be flipping through. If I really like something, I want to keep it. If I don't like it, I'm going to write it in my leave section. All right, so you got a little mini quick preview of everything inside of my bullet journal this year. But really the big plan there is just going through and really thinking through what's working and what's not. So everything that I'm going to be keeping for my next planner and bullet journal that we're going to set up are going to have these things that are a part of here. The one thing I like about the bullet journal edition too is that it has a section for intentions, but I only really use this for like the intentions of this notebook, not necessarily a monthly intentions or something where I'm writing them down. So I'm thinking about bringing that along with me, whether it's one single page, just what are my intentions for this notebook, or potentially doing something that I wanted to keep inside of here that I also have, which is like a monthly intentions where I was going through and writing down my intentions for the month and then my reflections for the month. Perhaps this is something I can build into a collection page instead of doing with the individual months. Because one of the things that I said I don't want to take with me are these monthly overviews, because I want to do calendar pages instead, and I don't think that I need to have this necessarily. So I'm going to figure that out, but I'm going to think about how do I bring intentions into my next journal is what I'm trying to say. I also have my yearly goals, things that I need to accomplish at work, and I liked looking back and referring back to these pretty often, as well as a help desk collection page. In my line of business, I'm on the line with them a lot, getting new equipment, helping things out, and I liked having a singular place for that versus having to flip all the way through my notebook trying to find where I wrote down that help desk ticket number throughout the week. My YouTube and Instagram trackers are really important to me. It's something that has to really go along with my wants for my journal, which is celebrating those small wins. So building these out are going to be important and bringing those along inside of my next journal. I also have one-on-ones with my boss, and I used to set up one-on-ones with everyone on my team, especially when I was a people manager, because I was meeting with them pretty often, but I don't need them as much. So right now I'm just going to start with that main one, which is my one-on-one with my boss, which is the most important one, I believe. And then if anything else comes up throughout the year where I'm meeting with people more regularly, I'll add their own one-on-one collection page versus starting off with all of them. And then overall, just weekly spreads. You saw a lot of that as I flipped through that journal. That's what I love doing. Weekly spreads are my thing. So making sure those follow along. And then the things that I'm going to be leaving behind. This is going to be a little controversial because I'm not going to bring my future log with me this year in the same way that I have before. There's a big reason for that, in that I really don't use my future log as much as I think that I'm going to. I use it when I set it up, put in some birthdays or things like that, but as things are going on throughout the year, I don't really put things back into my future log to plan ahead. Those monthly overview pages, like I talked about, just having those dates, I don't need that, but I do want to make sure I find a place for those reflections and the intentions. I had some other collection page like this Mo one that I created that was supposed to help me out for tracking every time the landscaper comes to mow and how much I'm paying them, and I used it one time and that was it. So not really working for me. Maybe I'll find a better way to do that, maybe inside my monthly calendar pages or something like that. And the last thing is my Design Ops collection. So I attend a lot of webinars. I'm a part of a Design Ops assembly. I do a lot of work inside of their talks and whatnot. And I think I'm going to keep them in a different place this year, not necessarily inside of my bullet journal, but maybe something a little bit more dedicated or something different. Now that we've gone through this exercise, it's time for us to start making some decisions and thinking about what's next. So if you haven't figured out what your bullet journal notebook or your planner is for the next year, now is the time to think about that, specifically paying attention to your wants, your needs, and what you don't want. There are plenty of notebooks and planners out there. I'll actually put a playlist link for you down in the descriptions below if you want to see all the reviews that I've done on different notebooks throughout the year. But really pay attention to these. And as you're looking for new notebooks and you're learning more about the features of them, refer back to this and see if they meet your needs and your wants. And if it has stuff that you don't want, maybe you want to stay away from it. Once you've figured out the notebook or planner that you're going with, then once you get that in the mail, or if you go to pick it up from a store and you come home, you're already prepared to go ahead and start migrating over your current notebook into your next one. Make sure you're paying attention to the pages and the collections and the things that you want, and really think about how you like to include them. It might just be setting up a lot of those major pages inside of your journal and kind of moving everything from there. And then anything you don't want behind, just go ahead and leave it there. Don't worry about it. I don't know about you, but I hold on to all of my old notebooks, especially when I'm migrating from one year to the next. I give it about like a month or two, and it's usually like right next to me so that as I'm working, I'm like, oh yes, I need to refer back to this note or something like that if I forgot to bring it along with me. It's not that big of a deal. You don't have to do it, but just something to pay attention to, especially if you have any kind of threaded notes or anything like that that you're doing for projects at work that are taking you into the new year. This printable and template will be available for you down in the descriptions below. You can use this as its own worksheet if you want to, or cut it out and paste it right into your notebook. I'll size this down for A5 size. This is for a B5 size right now, and they'll have everything there for you inside of that PDF, and you can use it as you'd like. I'd love to hear from you down in the comment section below if you feel like this is something that is going to be helpful for you, or if you've gone ahead and done this, come back to this video later on and comment below and let me know if this was helpful for you in setting up, planning, and migrating to your next bullet journal or planner. I'll talk with you all next time. Thanks for hanging out, crew. See ya.